For the vast majority of Australians who are approaching retirement or have already retired, their deepest anxiety often stems from one central question. Will the wealth they've accumulated through decades of hard work, rising early and working late, be enough to support a comfortable life in their golden years? This anxiety is not unfounded. After all, retirement means saying goodbye to a steady income from employment, and every future expense must be drawn from one's long-term savings. The uncertainty of life in old age only compounds this worry. When it comes to retirement planning, many people unwittingly find themselves caught in a dilemma. Some cling to their hard-earned savings, never daring to touch them for fear of running short in their later years. They spend their entire lives living frugally, unable to bring themselves to buy things they like or take trips they've always wanted to take. In the end, they miss out on what should have been a relaxed and enjoyable retirement, leaving them with endless regrets. Others blindly follow others' planning strategies. When they see people around them choosing a certain investment method, they copy it without thinking, completely ignoring their own actual circumstances, risk tolerance and retirement goals. In the end, they either face the awkward situation of their savings running out prematurely, or discover that their quality of life in retirement falls far short of expectations, and may even have to find a job again just to make ends meet, making the whole endeavor a losing proposition. Ultimately, retirement planning is neither an obscure nor an unmanageable task, nor does it have a so-called standard answer. The key lies in finding an approach that suits you personally and avoiding the pitfalls of overhyped and mythologized misconceptions. Only by doing so can you avoid worrying about financial trivialities after retirement, and instead enjoy your own time with ease and freedom, truly achieving security and joy in old age. When it comes to retirement planning, there is one concept that is almost universally known, the 4% rule. Many regard it as a universal guideline for spending in retirement, firmly believing that as long as they withdraw 4% of their investment portfolio annually for daily expenses, they can ensure 30 years of worry-free retirement and even leave some assets for their children. However, few realize that this rule was originally derived from market data studies in the United States and Canada. The underlying market conditions, tax policies, and welfare systems in those countries differ fundamentally from those in Australia. Applying this rule directly to the Australian market is not universally applicable and may even pose significant risks to one's retirement lifestyle. More importantly, this rule completely overlooks two critical real-world issues: taxes and various fees, factors that Australian retirees must prioritise when planning their income and expenses in Australia. All forms of post-retirement income, whether from investment returns, annuities, or sources other than Centrelink benefits, are subject to applicable taxes and fees, with specific rates varying based on individual income levels and asset size. Furthermore, various expenses incurred during the investment process, such as transaction fees, management fees, and custodial fees, will gradually erode a portion of one's savings. These tangible expenses are key factors that the 4% rule fails to account for, and they are a major reason why many people who follow this rule find their savings depleting much faster than expected. In reality, no retiree can strictly adhere to this rule, as life after retirement is never static and is fraught with uncertainty. Daily expenses do not simply rise steadily in line with inflation each year. There may be unexpected medical expenses this year, such as hospitalization due to a sudden illness or the need to purchase long-term medications. These costs are often substantial and can directly disrupt original spending plans. Next year, you might plan a trip to explore Australia's stunning landscapes or take a vacation overseas, which would require additional spending, or due to a downturn in the market, investment returns may fall short of expectations, forcing you to cut back on discretionary spending to ensure your basic living standards remain unaffected. Furthermore, Australia's interest rate environment has been in a state of constant fluctuation, particularly in recent years, influenced by various factors such as the global economic landscape and adjustments to monetary policy. Australia has undergone a gradual recovery from ultra-low interest rates. A 4% withdrawal rate may be too high during certain periods, such as when interest rates are low and investment returns are poor, as it accelerates the depletion of savings and risks exhausting them prematurely. Conversely, during other periods, such as when interest rates rise and investment returns improve. A 4% withdrawal rate may be too low, leaving funds that could be used to enjoy life idle and failing to maximize their value. Therefore, rather than rigidly adhering to a fixed number, it is better to flexibly adjust the withdrawal rate based on current interest rates, the size of one's assets, investment returns, and lifestyle needs. This approach better aligns with the actual retirement scenarios of Australians and allows savings to serve their purpose most effectively. In fact, there are three main approaches to retirement income planning in Australia. There is no absolute superiority among these three methods, nor is there a perfect choice. The key lies in suitability, that is, whether it aligns with your asset situation, risk tolerance, and retirement goals. Each planning approach caters to different groups of people and varying levels of risk tolerance. As long as you choose the method that suits you best, you can add a solid layer of security to your retirement life, ensuring your later years are more peaceful and carefree. Next, we'll break down these three approaches in detail, examining the core logic, target audience, and key considerations for each to help you find the retirement planning strategy that best suits your needs. The first is the total return investment approach. This strategy is essentially consistent with the investment logic we follow before retirement. Simply put, it involves continuing your pre-retirement investment model after retirement without changing your investment habits, but adjusting the investment pace and withdrawal rates to meet your post-retirement lifestyle needs. Specifically, this involves building a diversified investment portfolio, such as a mix of Australian domestic stocks, index funds, high-quality overseas assets, bonds, and other investment products. By allocating assets across different categories, you can diversify investment risks while pursuing long-term, stable returns. Subsequently, based on daily expenditure needs, funds are withdrawn from this portfolio to cover both essential living expenses and discretionary spending. This approach is best suited for those who can tolerate market volatility and place a high value on asset flexibility. People who dislike locking their funds into a single product and prioritize enjoying life to the fullest in the early stages of retirement, such as traveling, pursuing hobbies, and improving their quality of life. At the same time, they are willing to moderately reduce discretionary spending, such as cutting back on travel or lowering shopping budgets during market downturns to mitigate the impact of market fluctuations. They typically possess a certain level of investment knowledge, have weathered market ups and downs, and can view fluctuations in investment returns rationally without becoming overly anxious due to short-term market declines. Those who choose this planning approach generally have firm confidence in the long-term growth of the stock market. They believe that as long as they maintain a diversified investment portfolio and avoid blindly chasing short-term high returns, they will achieve stable investment returns over the long term, sufficient to support their retirement expenses. However, it is important to note that this approach requires a certain level of risk tolerance from investors. This is particularly true for Australian wage earners with limited assets. If the investment portfolio is too aggressive, for example by over-allocating to higher risk assets like stocks, it may expose them to significant investment risks. In the event of major market fluctuations, the value of the portfolio could plummet, thereby impacting one's basic standard of living. Therefore, when adopting this planning approach, it is essential to consider one's own financial situation and risk tolerance to allocate the proportions of various investments reasonably. For instance, one might appropriately increase the allocation of low-risk assets, such as bonds and money market funds, to reduce the overall risk of the portfolio. One must never blindly pursue high returns while neglecting risk management. The second approach is the bucket strategy. Compared to the total return investment method, this approach is more conservative and carries lower risk. It is better suited for those who fear market volatility and are focused on a stable lifestyle, especially those nearing retirement with a cautious mindset, as well as salaried workers with limited assets who cannot afford significant investment risks. The core concept of the bucket strategy is quite simple. It likens all post-retirement assets to multiple reserve buckets, each serving a distinct function. These buckets are independent of one another and do not interfere with each other, collectively providing comprehensive security for retirement, much like building multiple lines of defense for one's retirement life. Specifically, we can divide assets into 3 buckets, each with its own distinct function and allocation strategy. The first bucket is the short-term living expenses bucket, primarily intended to cover basic living expenses for the next 5–10 years. This portion of assets must be highly secure, highly liquid, and low risk. Examples include low-risk products such as Australian government bonds with maturities of 3–10 years, short-term bond funds, and time deposits. The core purpose of this bucket is to safeguard basic living needs, regardless of market fluctuations. It ensures you have sufficient funds to cover daily expenses without worrying about basic necessities. The second bucket is the mid-term appreciation bucket, primarily intended to cover living expenses over the next 10–20 years while achieving steady asset appreciation to counteract the effects of inflation. This portion of assets can be allocated to medium-risk investment products such as balanced funds, dividend-paying stocks, and medium to long-term bonds, balancing safety and returns to ensure steady asset growth without assuming excessive risk. The third bucket is the long-term growth bucket, primarily intended to cover living expenses for 20 years or more and address longevity risk. This portion of assets can be allocated to high-yield, high-risk investment products such as growth stocks, index funds, and high-quality overseas assets. Through long-term investment, it aims to achieve significant asset appreciation, providing more robust security for one's later years. The advantage of this planning approach is that short-term basic living needs are fully covered, eliminating the need to sell long-term assets like stocks during market downturns to maintain a basic standard of living. This effectively avoids asset losses caused by market volatility. At the same time, this approach provides a sufficient psychological buffer, freeing individuals from the need to constantly monitor market conditions or experience excessive anxiety, allowing them to enjoy their retirement with greater peace of mind. Furthermore, the bucket strategy can be flexibly adjusted based on one's age, financial situation, and risk tolerance. For example, as one ages, the allocation of high-risk assets in the long-term growth bucket can be gradually reduced, while the allocation of low-risk assets in the short-term living bucket can be increased, ensuring the investment portfolio better aligns with one's needs in later life. Of course, the bucket strategy is not entirely risk-free. If the market remains in a prolonged slump, the appreciation of assets in the mid-term appreciation bucket and long-term growth bucket may fail to keep pace with inflation. This could lead to a decline in the purchasing power of your assets, potentially leaving you unable to meet your later life needs. Alternatively, if the assets in the short-term living bucket are depleted before the assets in the mid-term appreciation bucket have achieved the expected appreciation, you may be forced to draw funds from the long-term growth bucket. This would disrupt your long-term asset appreciation plans and subject you to financial pressure. However, compared to relying solely on stock investments, the bucket strategy significantly mitigates the impact of market volatility, making it more suitable for Australian retirees seeking stability and wishing to avoid excessive risk. The third approach is the income protection strategy. The core of this planning method is to use financial products, such as annuities that provide a stable lifetime income, combined with Australia's Centrelink benefits, i.e. social security benefits, to establish a safety net for retirement income. This fundamentally resolves the anxieties of running out of money and outliving one's savings. When it comes to annuities, many Australians harbour misconceptions, viewing them as a trap. They worry that they won't be able to recoup their investments, fear being burdened by high fees, or even believe that annuity returns are too low and that self-managed investments are a better deal. In reality, however, choosing the right type of annuity can effectively address the core anxiety of running out of savings before the end of one's life, providing stable income security for later years and serving as an indispensable part of retirement planning. Simply put, the way an annuity works is that before retirement, you invest a portion of your savings with an insurance company. Both parties sign a contract specifying the timing, amount, and method of payments after retirement. Once you officially retire, the insurance company will pay you a fixed monthly income according to the contract terms. This income continues until your passing, ensuring a stable source of income no matter how long you live. The greatest advantage of this approach is its ability to effectively mitigate longevity risk. For Australians with average life expectancy continuously rising, many may face 20, 30, or even more years of retirement. Since no one can predict exactly how long they will live, an annuity effectively addresses this issue, eliminating the worry of living too long and running out of money. Furthermore, many annuity products currently available in the Australian market have no significant external fees. Even if there are minor fees, they are offset by the stable income and risk protection the product provides. At the same time, Australian annuity products are constantly being optimized, with a wide variety of flexible options emerging, such as lifetime annuities, fixed-term annuities, and indexed annuities. Different types of annuities suit different groups of people. For example, lifetime annuities are suitable for those concerned about longevity risk and seeking stable income. Fixed-term annuities are suitable for those with a clear expectation of their retirement duration, who wish to receive a stable income over a specific period. And index-linked annuities adjust according to inflation rates, effectively hedging against inflation risk, making them suitable for those concerned about rising prices, especially for Australian retirees with modest assets who seek a stable lifestyle. Annuities allow them to sleep soundly in retirement, completely freeing themselves from the worry of whether their money will last and enabling them to enjoy their retirement with peace of mind. Beyond choosing the right retirement planning approach, the most commonly overlooked aspect of retirement is actually the various potential risks. Many people focus solely on saving enough money before retirement, devoting all their energy to accumulating wealth, yet they overlook the various unexpected situations they may encounter after retirement. Once a risk materializes, it could easily render years of retirement planning futile or even lead to financial hardship. Considering the realities of life in Australia, retirees should pay close attention to the following 3 types of risks and prepare for them in advance to ensure a more stable retirement. First is the risk of longevity, which is the most tangible and cannot be ignored, according to data released by the Australian Bureau of Statistics. The average life expectancy for Australian men is approaching 83 years, while for women it has reached over 86 years. Moreover, with continuous improvements in medical care, average life expectancy continues to rise. This means that many people may face 20 or even 30 years of retirement, and those in good health may live for over 40 years after retiring. Longevity brings not only the blessings of old age, but also a significant test of one's savings. No one can predict the length of their life. The longer one lives, the more savings are required. Once savings are depleted, one's later years may fall into hardship, potentially requiring reliance on children for support or resorting to government assistance, a scenario many people are unwilling to face. The best way to address the risk of longevity is to combine an annuity with deferred Centrelink benefits to create dual protection. Centrelink benefits in Australia are an inflation-adjusted source of income. The payment amounts are adjusted annually based on inflation rates. This effectively mitigates the financial pressure caused by inflation, ensuring that one's basic standard of living does not decline due to rising prices. Moreover, if you choose to defer Centrelink benefits until age 70, you can receive 77% more inflation-adjusted income compared to claiming at age 62. This significantly helps improve the quality of life in your later years and alleviates financial pressure, especially for single individuals and the higher earning partner in a couple. Deferring Centrelink benefits maximizes lifetime income and adds a solid layer of security to your retirement. An annuity, meanwhile, provides a stable, lifelong income that complements Centrelink benefits, completely alleviating the anxiety of outliving one's savings and giving you greater confidence in your later years. Next is the issue of unexpected expenses. Many people mistakenly believe that after retirement, there will be no unexpected costs and life will proceed smoothly. But this is not the case. After retirement, various unforeseen expenses will still arise. Expenses that are often not included in the original retirement budget. Once they occur, they can place significant pressure on one's financial situation. For example, a car might suddenly break down and require repairs, or even need to be replaced. The roof of your home might start leaking, or appliances might break down, requiring repairs or replacement, or a sudden illness might necessitate a large medical bill. These unexpected expenses can instantly deplete more than half of your savings. after retirement without an income from work to serve as a buffer. Encountering such emergencies can easily overwhelm you, potentially affecting your basic livelihood and throwing your once stable retirement life into disarray. The approach to managing these financial shocks is actually quite straightforward and involves two key strategies. First, build up an emergency fund before retirement. This fund doesn't need to be massive, enough to cover 6 to 12 months of basic living expenses is sufficient and should be set aside specifically to handle unexpected situations such as unexpected medical costs, home repairs or vehicle breakdowns. This way, even if unexpected expenses arise, you won't have to dip into your long-term investments or pension, ensuring the stability of your long-term assets and preventing disruptions to your retirement plans. Second, you should strategically allocate various insurance policies to build a protective shield for your retirement. For example, Australia's Medicare covers a portion of basic medical costs, alleviating the financial burden of healthcare. Private health insurance covers services not included in Medicare, such as private hospital stays and specialist treatments, allowing you to access higher quality medical care. Long-term care insurance addresses potential care needs in later life, such as requiring personal care or admission to a nursing home, preventing savings from being depleted by exorbitant care costs. At the same time, planning for retirement in advance, such as choosing a community that is convenient for aging and offers easy access to various services, can also reduce additional expenses later on, making your retirement life more worry-free. The third risk is inflation risk, which has been one of the top concerns for Australians in recent years. Inflation acts like an invisible thief, silently eroding our wealth. This is particularly true for retirees, as without earned income, the purchasing power of their savings diminishes as prices rise, thereby affecting their quality of life. Although Australia's inflation rate has currently fallen below 3, no one can guarantee it won't rebound in the future. Moreover, from a long-term perspective, rising prices are an inevitable trend. The only variable is the rate of increase. If inflation exceeds expectations, your retirement budget will be significantly squeezed. For example, if you originally planned to spend 50 AUD per month to maintain your standard of living, a 5% rise in inflation would require an additional 250 AUD to sustain that same standard. Moreover, the price increases caused by inflation are permanent. Even if inflation rates later decline, prices will not return to their original levels. This accelerates the depletion of your savings and may even lead to them being exhausted prematurely to mitigate inflation risk. In addition to relying on Centrelink benefits inflation adjustments, you can also invest in inflation-protected securities such as Australia's TIPS. The returns on these securities adjust in line with changes in the inflation rate, effectively countering the pressure of rising prices and ensuring your assets' purchasing power does not decline significantly. Additionally, maintaining a portion of your portfolio in stocks is a sound strategy. While the stock market is subject to volatility and may experience short-term declines, over the long term, stock returns typically keep pace with or even exceed inflation rates. This helps preserve and grow your assets, shielding them from the adverse effects of inflation. Of course, the proportion of your portfolio allocated to stocks should be carefully managed based on your risk tolerance to avoid assuming excessive risk through overinvestment. If you have 5 years left until retirement, you must focus on the following 3 areas and make thorough preparations in advance to ensure a smooth and comfortable retirement, avoiding any negative impact on your quality of life due to insufficient preparation. These 5 years can be described as the golden preparation period for retirement planning. By addressing these 3 aspects, you can lay a solid foundation for your later years. First, you must clarify your retirement goals. Many people choose to retire simply because they are tired of work, feeling physically and mentally exhausted and wanting to rest, free from the pressures and constraints of work, yet they have never seriously considered what kind of life they want to lead after retirement. Retirement is not the end of life, but the beginning of a new chapter. This phase should be relaxed, carefree, and meaningful. Without clear goals or activities you enjoy, it's easy to fall into confusion and loneliness, which can even affect your physical and mental health, making retirement life dull and unfulfilling. Therefore, in the 5 years leading up to retirement, you must carefully consider the lifestyle you want after retirement. Do you want to travel around Australia, exploring the country where you've lived your entire life? To witness the grandeur of the Great Barrier Reef, the wonder of Uluru and the cultural vibrancy of Melbourne? Or do you want to cultivate a personal hobby, such as gardening, calligraphy, photography, or painting, to fill your life with joy? Do you want to spend more time with your family? Enjoying the simple pleasures of family life, watching your grandchildren grow up, and sharing warm moments together? Or do you want to devote yourself to volunteer work, put your experience to good use, contribute to society, and realize your life's worth? Only by clarifying your retirement goals can you plan your savings and time more effectively, making your retirement life more meaningful and enjoyable. Second, you need to assess your income sources and establish a stable income system. In the 5 years leading up to retirement, carefully tally all your assets, including savings, various investments, such as stocks, mutual funds and bonds, real estate and pensions, to determine how much stable income they can provide. At the same time, estimate your post-retirement expenses, including basic living costs, medical expenses, entertainment and travel, so you have a clear picture of your financial situation. At the same time, gain a detailed understanding of the rules for receiving Centrelink benefits, including eligibility criteria, payment schedules, benefit amounts and adjustment mechanisms. Determine the timing and method of claiming based on your individual circumstances to maximize your benefit entitlements. Additionally, carefully consider whether to invest in an annuity or establish a bond ladder to build a safety net for retirement income in advance. This ensures a stable source of income after retirement, completely eliminating financial worries and allowing you to enjoy a more carefree retirement. Finally, you must complete all foundational planning to avoid unnecessary complications later on. This includes Medicare enrollment, estate planning, and tax planning, among other areas, each of which directly impacts your quality of life in retirement and the interests of your family, and should not be overlooked. In Australia, most people must enroll in Medicare at age 65. Medicare is Australia's public health insurance system, providing retirees with basic healthcare coverage, including benefits for outpatient care, hospitalization, and medications. Failing to register by the deadline may result in penalties and could even affect your entitlement to healthcare benefits. Therefore, it is essential to familiarize yourself with the Medicare registration process, required documents, and relevant requirements well in advance to ensure timely completion. Estate planning is equally important. You should draft a will in advance to clearly outline your asset distribution plan, including the disposition of real estate, savings, investments, and other assets to prevent future family disputes over property that could disrupt family harmony. Tax planning is equally crucial, particularly the Roth conversion, taking advantage of the window of relatively lower pre-retirement income to strategically adjust your account types can help you save significant taxes and maximize the value of your savings. At the same time, you should familiarize yourself with post-retirement tax policies in advance. Plan your income and expenses wisely and avoid unnecessary losses due to tax issues. In Australia, there is a fascinating phenomenon. Many retirees, despite having sufficient savings, are still reluctant to spend money freely. They are constantly focused on leaving a larger inheritance for their children. As a result, they spend their entire lives living frugally, refraining from buying things they like, going on trips, or enjoying life, and ultimately miss the best opportunity to enjoy their retirement. By the time they are frail and unable to enjoy life anymore, they are filled with regret. In reality, the core of retirement planning has never been about saving every last cent for the end. Rather, it is about striking a balance between your current quality of life and future risks, ensuring sufficient security for your later years while also knowing how to enjoy life, so as not to let a lifetime of hard work go to waste. You've worked hard your entire life, from rising early and staying up late in your youth to carrying heavy burdens in middle age. The wealth you've accumulated isn't meant to be left entirely to your children, but rather to ensure you can live out your retirement years in peace and comfort, making up for the joys you missed in your youth due to busyness. Of course, this doesn't mean you shouldn't leave an inheritance for your children. Rather, it means you shouldn't sacrifice your own quality of life in the pursuit of leaving a large estate. If you can effectively combine the three planning approaches mentioned earlier, ensuring a stable income source, effectively hedging against various risks, and maintaining a degree of asset flexibility, you'll be able to avoid worrying about running out of money while still leaving a portion of your assets to your children within your means. This achieves a perfect balance, doing justice to both yourself and your family. Many people also fall into a common trap during retirement planning, blindly following others' methods without exercising their own judgment. Seeing others achieve good returns through total return investing, they blindly copy the approach without considering their own risk tolerance or financial situation, only to suffer losses due to market volatility. Seeing others purchase annuities, they feel they must do the same, regardless of whether their lifestyle needs or asset size are suitable, resulting in funds being locked up and unable to be used flexibly. Seeing others delay claiming Centrelink benefits, they blindly follow suit, only to find their short-term quality of life compromised. In reality, there is no standard answer for retirement planning. Nor does a one-size-fits-all approach exist. What works for others may not work for you. High net worth individuals may be better suited to a total return investment strategy, as they possess sufficient assets to withstand market volatility and place greater emphasis on asset flexibility and long-term growth potential. They can preserve and grow their wealth through diversified investments while meeting their lifestyle needs. Ordinary wage earners may be better suited to a combination of annuities and Centrelink benefits, as their asset base is limited and they prioritize a stable lifestyle without wanting to bear excessive investment risk. Annuities and Centrelink benefits provide them with a stable income source to ensure basic living standards. For those who prefer stability and fear market volatility, the bucket strategy is a more suitable choice. By allocating assets across different buckets, they can reduce risk while achieving steady asset appreciation, providing sufficient psychological cushioning so they can enjoy their retirement with greater peace of mind. Therefore, when formulating a retirement plan, it is essential to set aside the mindset of, "I'll do whatever others do," and avoid being influenced by others' choices. Instead, you should combine your own asset size, risk tolerance, and retirement goals to conduct a calm analysis and make a rational judgment, ultimately selecting the planning approach that best suits you. Do not be swayed by overly glorified misconceptions, nor blindly pursue high returns. After all, the core of retirement planning is stability, ensuring you won't have to worry about financial trivialities after retirement and can peacefully enjoy your golden years. This is the true purpose of retirement planning. Furthermore, retirement planning is not set in stone. It is not a set it and forget it solution, but rather a process that requires dynamic adjustments and continuous optimization. This is because market conditions are constantly evolving. Interest rates, inflation rates, and investment returns all change over time. Your physical health and lifestyle needs will also shift as you age. For example, you might enjoy traveling in your youth, but prefer to rest at home in your later years. While you may have a higher risk tolerance when young, you might prioritize stability as you grow older. Therefore, retirement planning requires timely adjustments and optimizations based on these changes to ensure it remains aligned with your actual circumstances. For example, when market interest rates rise, you can moderately increase your withdrawal rate to boost daily spending and improve your quality of life. When market interest rates fall and investment returns are poor, you can moderately reduce your withdrawal rate to cut discretionary spending, while simultaneously adjusting your investment portfolio to increase allocations to low-risk assets and reduce investment risk. When your health deteriorates, you can increase contributions to an annuity to ensure a stable source of funds for medical expenses, while reducing high-risk investments to safeguard the security of your assets when life circumstances change. For instance, if a planned trip is cancelled due to health issues, you can promptly adjust your spending plan to redirect funds toward healthcare or spending time with family, while also adjusting your investment portfolio to meet these new needs. Only by doing so can your retirement plan continue to serve its full purpose, providing sustained security for your later years. For Australians, retirement should be a time of ease, freedom, and happiness. No more waking up early to rush to work, no more worrying about job stress, and no more anxiety over performance targets or evaluations. You'll have ample time to spend with family, do what you love, go where you want, and enjoy life to the fullest. The prerequisite for all these wonderful scenarios is to create a solid retirement plan, finding a method that suits you. avoiding common pitfalls, effectively mitigating various risks, and ensuring your retirement is adequately secured. Many people perceive retirement planning as a complex and tedious task that requires extensive financial expertise and a significant investment of time and energy, which is why they delay getting started. But in reality, retirement planning isn't that complicated. It doesn't require you to become a financial expert, nor does it demand a huge investment of time and energy. As long as you cultivate the right mindset toward retirement planning, understand basic planning methods, tailor them to your specific circumstances, and prepare in advance, you can lay a solid foundation for your later years. For example, you can start with simple steps. First, assess your assets and expenses to clarify your retirement goals. Then, familiarize yourself with Australia's Centrelink welfare policies to determine how much assistance you may qualify for. Then, based on your risk tolerance, choose a retirement planning approach that suits you, such as allocating a portion to a superannuation fund or building a simple investment portfolio. Finally, set aside an emergency fund, secure appropriate insurance coverage, and finalize your basic plan. These steps may seem simple, but they provide crucial safeguards for your retirement, allowing you to face various uncertainties with confidence after you retire. Finally, I want to emphasize that it is never too late to start retirement planning. Whether you are 50, 60, or already retired, you can adjust and optimize your retirement plan based on your current circumstances to ensure a more secure and fulfilling retirement. Even if you're already retired and realize your plan has shortcomings, you can still make timely adjustments, such as increasing your annuity contributions, rebalancing your investment portfolio, or building an emergency fund to improve your retirement quality of life. After all, we've worked hard our entire lives, striving to earn a living and build wealth, not only to support our families and fulfill our life's purpose, but also so that after retirement, we no longer have to struggle to make ends meet and can instead enjoy our golden years in peace and comfort. This is the wish of every one of us, and the best reward for a lifetime of hard work. To summarize, the core of retirement planning is finding the right approach, avoiding pitfalls, mitigating risks, and balancing the present with the future. Don't be intimidated by complex theories, and don't blindly follow others' approaches. By tailoring your plan to your specific circumstances, planning ahead, and making flexible adjustments, you can truly achieve worry-free retirement. You'll be able to comfortably enjoy your retirement in Australia and live the life you've always envisioned. May every retiree in Australia successfully plan for retirement, free themselves from financial worries, and spend their golden years with composure, freedom, and happiness.